So first, I just want to say thanks to Breezie for being on the call, and thanks for everybody else who are getting on the call. This is kind of exciting. We haven't really had somebody outside of Team Hope come in and talk to us, so this is a kind of a big deal for our team. So thanks, Breezie. Just to let you guys know, I started coaching just a little bit before Breezie, actually, and so it's been really fun to watch as she just kind of like came in. She just owned this. She just ran with it, and I mean, she's two years in a row she's been an elite coach, and just has an incredible story, and she reaches so many people, and she has other things going on even besides Beachbody, like how she's affecting the world around her. So it's been like truly inspiring to watch, like on the sidelines. Like it's just been really, really impressed, and really happy that she's been part of Team Forward Fitness and that we get to rub shoulders once in a while. So without further ado, Breezie, I'm going to turn it over to you. And if you don't mind, just go on. She's going to talk about her story and how we can use that and how we should use that. And anyway, okay, Breezie, it's all you.
Hey, all right. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. I have a little slideshow I want to share with you. Can you guys see that? Okay, perfect. All right. So thank you, Amber. I'm really excited to be here with you guys. I just love Amber to death. And she was actually like, you know, when you sign up and you like see those coaches that you're like, oh, I want to be like Amber Marshall. Like that was totally me. Like, I just thought she was so cool. She was like the girl next door. I loved her posts, and I just thought she was super real, super relatable. And I really love that about her. And when I met her, she was just like she was in her post. Like she's not fake. She's the real deal. So that kind of fits in what I'm going to talk to you guys, about with today. But Amber's the real deal. So you guys are lucky to be a part of her team. So just kind of a little intro about myself. I actually started my Beachbody journey in 2012. I had just had my first little boy. He was 9 months old, and I still hadn't got rid of all my baby weight. So I was just kind of struggling with that, the whole mom thing. I was also struggling with my Crohn's disease. I have Crohn's. It's an irritable bowel disease. And motherhood, you know, I just needed change. Those two things were really my struggle at the time. So I signed up for a challenge group, and I was a discount coach, and I gave TurboFire a shot. I thought that it would be something that I would like, and I did. I loved it. I lost the baby weight. I loved how Shakeology made me feel. It was helping with my Crohn's disease symptoms, and I felt better than I had in a really long time. So when I signed up, I was actually added to my coach, Brigitte Linford's team page, and I watched her build this amazing business from the ground up. And then finally in 2013, about 9 months after signing up, I said, why not me? I was 5 months pregnant with my second little boy, who is banging on the door right now. And I was dreading going back to school. I was a teacher in the fall semester. I didn't want to go back and teach. I had taught when I was pregnant with my first, and that's just, I didn't want to have to put both my kids in daycare or have them go to a babysitter's house. It's just not something that I wanted to do. So I jumped in and I started building my coaching business. And here I am. It's been, oh heck, what is it? 3 years? Am I at 3 years yet? I don't know. I can't count, but I love it. It's amazing. 2.5 years, 3 years, something like that. I think it's 2.5. And I love it. It's been an amazing ride, and I'm looking forward to a long future as a Beachbody coach on a lifer. This opportunity, it's blessed my family greatly. It's helped me as an individual really discover my passions and purpose in life. It's helped my husband do the same. One of our goals is actually to have him retire from his farming job, because that was taking a lot of time away from our family and things we wanted to do together. So this year, he's actually home with me and our kids, and we are a full-time Beachbody family. So that's kind of cool. And another thing about Beachbody, it's helped me discover and share my story, which is what I want to talk to you guys about today. So I'm going to kind of take you through my process of how I was able to discover my story and start sharing it. And this is going to be different for everyone. So I just kind of want you guys to sit back, listen to what I have to say, take a few notes if you want to, but realize not everything I'm going to say is going to resonate with you. You might not be able to apply every single thing I'm going to say, but my hope is that you're going to take at least one little thing, one little nugget, and you're going to be able to apply that to your coaching business and how how you're sharing with the people around you, and that it's going to help you grow as an individual, and it's going to help you grow your business. So, okay, so as a new coach, I started sharing my story. I had my transformation. I was excited to build a business, and I watched all these other coaches posting. I thought that I was golden and I knew exactly what to do. But I wasn't really in reality when it came down to it. I quickly realized that I had fallen into the trap of what I call being a cookie cutter beach body coach. I was stalking all these other coaches, seeing what they were posting, and then quickly I would go to my page and hurry and craft a post just like the one I had just looked at. And what that did was it made me lose my voice. I wasn't being true to myself. I completely believe in patterning your business after successful people, because I do believe that success leaves clues, but there's a difference between a pattern and copying someone exactly. You need to make it your own. Make it your own. Make it your own post. So I'm going to kind of share with you guys today ways that you can do that. It wasn't until I heard Jeff Hill from corporate talk about the hedgehog principle, that it was at my first team retreat with Brigitte, that I realized that I needed to find my own story and roll with it. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, is this whole hedgehog concept. All right. So this hedgehog concept, like I said, just bear with me through it. You're going to get it and you're going to be able to apply it. So it comes from the book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. And this is a book that Jeff Hill from corporate, he quotes this all the time and shares this story all the time. So you know there's something to it. There's valuable business building principles in this book. And this concept is one that he shares a lot. So that's why I want to share it with you. So the hedgehog concept is this: the fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. And in his book, Jim Collins, he calls this hedgehog concept doing one thing and doing it well. And in the book, he uses the parable of the clever, devious fox and then this simple little hedgehog. And the fox keeps coming up with all these ideas to eat the hedgehog, but then the hedgehog, he outsmarts the fox because he does one trick, and that's rolling in a thorny ball. So how does this apply to your business? I'm getting there. Just hang on. So the concept requires the intersection of these three answers. What are you passionate about? What can you be the best at? What can you actually make the living at? And then your answer is kind of in the middle. It meets all three criteria. Those who build good to great companies, to one degree or another, they're hedgehogs. They use their hedgehog nature to ultimately come up with this hedgehog concept, what they're good at, their story, and then they use that to drive towards their goal for their company. And then in the book, it talks about how the people who had comparing companies, they tended to be foxes. They never kind of gained an advantage. Instead, they were scattered, they were diffused, and they were inconsistent. So when Jeff Hill talked to us about this whole concept, and he said that, he kind of talked about how as a coach, you need to hone in on what your goals are, what your why is. Why are you doing this? Why are you a coach? What this is all about for you. And I realized at that moment, I was totally a fox. I was scattered. I was diffused. I was inconsistent. I was all over the place with my post. I had no real depth or reason to why I was posting them. I was just going through the motions. So this was kind of my wake-up call for myself to become this hedgehog. Jeff Hill also shared with us that honing in on your hedgehog, it's not only going to help you find your purpose, ignite your passion, but it's going to roll your business forward, obviously. Developing your hedgehog and those principles kind of surrounding it, it's going to help you see that you do have a story to tell. Everyone has a story to tell, and it's probably a pretty darn good one too. So this hedgehog principle, I'm going to kind of go over it again. It has these three elements that overlap at certain points and ultimately come together to form your hedgehog or your sweet spot or your story. This whole chart here kind of shows different elements of my story. And when I did this exercise, these are the things that I came up with. And I just want you to remember that there's no right or wrong answer to these questions. There's no right or wrong answer to your story. It's your story. It's your life. So just be you and do your thing, because you're not me. I'm not you. And that is the beauty of this business, is that I can be, yes, Breezie Bitter, and Amber can be Amber Marshall, and she can rock it, and she can have a killer income being a stay-at-home mom, a homeschooling mom to 4 kids and 5 kids. How many kids do you have now? 4. Okay. I thought I was missing one. And, go through challenges with a preemie baby, and I can go through challenges with my Crohn's disease, with this and that, and I can still build a successful business because I'm me and she's her. And that is the beauty of finding your hedgehog and developing it. And that's what this business is all about. So, okay. So Jeff Hill challenged us to message him with our hedgehog. And I was so nervous. I'm like, it was really hard to wrap my brain around at first. The purpose of this, though, is, so don't let that get you down. Like, if it's hard for you to wrap your brain around, that's okay. I was there. The purpose of this is just to help you see that you don't want to be a fox. You don't want to be constantly pulling pieces from other people's lives and trying to be them. You want to be you, and you want to be your own kind of hedgehog, and you want to be proud of it. So some tips. I'm going to share some tips to do this exercise. And I'll warn you, it took me a while, but that's okay if it takes you a while. It's a process. It's a journey. And it's okay if it takes you a while. So some tips. Try some of these things. The first one is to write down your struggles. What have been your trials in your life? What things have you gone through that have made you a better, stronger person? How did they shape you into who you are today? Same with your turning points in your life. We all have big turning points, whether they're positive turning points, negative turning points. How did those things shape you into who you are today? And I'm literally talking, guys, this is like stuff you can like brain dump onto a piece of paper. This is stuff that, this is like a writing exercise that you would do like in a creative writing class or something. But really what this does is this kind of gets your juices flowing, and this helps you see, what you do have to offer, because you have a lot to offer. And sometimes we get so caught up in the comparison trap that we forget that we are ourselves. We have the story to share. We have a message to tell the world. And that's getting clouded by everything else around us, which is super easy to do, especially if you scroll your Facebook news feed, you lose yourself. So this is kind of to get yourself centered, get yourself back to who you are. Okay, so next one, what do you talk about most on social media right now? Why? Maybe you love sharing recipes. That's amazing. Like, maybe there's something to that. Maybe you would be great to share that more and really hone in on that. You talk about your workouts a lot and fitness tips. Like, is that something you're really drawn to? Do you talk about your family a lot? Maybe you have some great family tips and inspiration and things that you can share. We're all different. Maybe there's something that you do talk about a lot that might be an inclination of what your hedgehog might be, and maybe not. Maybe there's not. Maybe you talk about quite a few different things, and that's fine too. What is your why behind being a coach? It's so important. We talk about this all the time, and maybe you're sick of hearing it, but guys, it's important. What's your why? Your why changes over time. My initial why was because I didn't want my husband working long, crazy summers. I saw my coach retire her husband. I wanted that for my family. I wanted that family time. And that was my initial why. My why has changed. My husband's home now. It's adapted over time. I have a new why. But what is your why? Even if it's for yourself, what is your why? What's your elevator speech about coaching? So your elevator speech, it's basically just, like my little introduction I gave you at the beginning. If you were stuck in an elevator with someone and they asked what Beachbody coaching is, or what you do, or what your transformation with Beachbody is, it's that quick little blip of what it is. That is an indicator of maybe what your hedgehog can be, or an element of your hedgehog can be. Okay, so I was super nervous to really start talking about my story, my health struggles, to make a video about my health struggles, to really put my story out there on social media after going through all these questions and thinking about all those things, instead of just brushing the surface, kind of like I was doing. So I thought that by doing this, by talking about my Crohn's disease, I've had several miscarriages. I thought by talking about that, by talking about me, just who I was, I thought it was going to narrow my market. I thought I got into the scarcity mindset. I thought if I talk about Crohn's disease, then it's going to be bad for business. But I was wrong. It's not. You attract the people that are meant to be in your business. And the more true and vulnerable you are, the more honest you are with yourself, those people are going to come into your life. And that's going to be for a reason. So, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But after I did this exercise, I messaged it to Jeff, but I didn't act on it. I just kind of sat and I thought that I was good, like whatever. But it was actually a couple months later, I was at a Super Saturday with Scotty Hobbs, and he talked about the same exact thing. And it clicked. I knew that I had to take action. So I went home, I made a video about my journey with my Crohn's disease and Shakeology, and then I never looked back. And guys, that video has been the best thing I've ever done. If you haven't made a video about your story, about your transformation, I highly recommend that you do that, because that is going to be a valuable tool for you as you share, as you're recruiting coaches, as you're sharing for challenge groups. I've had people message me outside of my team all throughout the network asking about Crohn's disease. And it has been so valuable to me just to have to share. So I encourage you to make a video of your story. So as I've started kind of talking about Crohn's disease, my health struggles, how I cope, I have literally attracted people like me to my team, and even more people than I would have before, because I'm being genuine about it. People like me with chronic illness, with family members with chronic illness, people fighting for better health. And it's really been incredible. And when I originally put this call together, it was like last July. And I looked, and in those 2 months, I think it was in June and July, I had signed up 14 coaches, and 8 of them either had Crohn's disease or some other autoimmune disease. So that's over half of the people that I attracted to myself, that because I had started sharing my real self and my story, that were like me. And so that's just proof that people are attracted to you for a reason. So be yourself, share your story. It's worth it. It's so empowering just knowing that I'm serving my purpose. Just by being who I am, I'm serving my purpose, because that's helping people. It's giving them hope for a better life when they find that connection with me. And I don't know about you, but that's why I signed up to be a coach, because I want to inspire people. Okay, so now, obviously, you don't have to have a chronic illness. You don't have to have, you don't have to have one limb to be inspiring. Like, that's not what it's about. I find Amber is super inspiring to me. Even before she went through everything she went through with Reagan, she is a homeschooling mom, and she works her buns off, and she's built a successful business. Like, that's inspiring and empowering, just being who she is. And that's what it is for you guys. Like, you need to find your hedgehog and embrace it and own it. You don't have to be you don't have to be me. You don't have to be Amber. You don't have to be Brigitte Linford. You just have to be you. Whatever elements of your story that there is, you just have to be you. Okay, so now once you find your hedgehog, that doesn't mean that that's all you ever talk about. It just shows that there's power in your story, and it kind of gives you a focus point to weave in and out of your posts. And then as you share that on social media, you're not going to come across as that cookie cutter coach. Instead, you're going to have a little bit more depth, a little more, just more to your post to make it more connectable. I don't think that's a word. To make it so you connect more with your audience. Okay, and like I said, there's no one right story, just yours. All right. Let's see. Okay, so the purpose, like I said, is of finding your hedgehog is just to emphasize again that you don't need to jump around like a fox trying to find the perfect way to come across to people or the next best post. Just put your blinders on. I advise my team to unfollow coaches because it can become toxic. I think it's good to draw inspiration from coaches, but if you find yourself comparing yourself to people, unfollow them. It's okay. You can still love them and be their friend, but if it's not healthy for you, if you get negative feelings, unfollow them. It's okay. Put your blinders on, focus on your strengths, focus on your story, your purpose, and share that. And maybe you're saying still, but Breezie, I have no clue what my story is. I'm no one special. Well, my advice to you, my first thing I would do before you even sit down and do this stuff, I would up your personal development. get the confidence to really dig deep and discover your why. I loved this, or discover your story. I really loved the National Wake Up Call. It was by Summer Tucker last year, and I think she nailed it when she said this. She said, there's only one of you, only one. You have to have the courage to share who you are. Take time to share your story with people. Let them peel your story back like pieces of an onion. And as you do, you will give people hope. You will gain trust, loyalty, and a piece of their heart. I love that. I'm going to say that again. You will gain trust, loyalty, and a piece of their heart. If you believe in people, add value to people, be genuine, you will be successful. And I love that, because really that's what being a coach is about. We want our followers to trust us. We want our clients to trust us. We want people to sign up with us and be loyal customers. And we want that connection and friendship with them. Coaching is about discovering ourselves, overcoming our trials, and then sharing that with people in hope that that's going to change their life. Okay. So now, what do you do? One of the very first calls I was on as a new coach was by Lindsay Matley, and she shared about choosing your 5. So choosing your 5 on social media and sticking to that, what you're posting about. I did that as a new coach, but again, until I really found my story, I struggled with that being genuine element, really being me in those 5 different things. The more that I posted, the more the more I went through this, headshot concept, the more I was able to start breadcrumbing and weaving my story in and out of these different five different categories. So, all right. So having different ways to share your story and kind of rotating through them allows you to create posts that have stories, lessons, and add value to people. It helps people be in your shoes and relate to you. And that's what we really want. So I want you to obviously share your story on Facebook, but I don't want you to overwhelm people with too much info. And that's where I feel like these 5 different categories come in. It kind of helps you make it so your Facebook isn't your diary. You're not on Facebook to vent or to make the world feel sorry for you. Your desire for people as a coach is to genuinely help people. So keep that in mind when you're crafting your post. Breadcrumb your story through your different posts, through your different categories, break it into bits and pieces into your posts, and always be sharing your story, because so always be sharing your story. A little side note on this. I don't feel like I share my story enough, and the reason, or people share their story enough, I don't share my story enough, because like your transformation story, like your who you are story, because if you're adding 2 to 3 new coaches, or 2 to 3 new people to your network a day, or 3 to 5 new people to your network a day, there's new people that don't know your story, haven't seen your story. The way Facebook is set up, they aren't going to see, not everyone sees your story. Like, for example, I posted that I was pregnant like a couple weeks ago. I posted like this post and a bunch of people liked it. It was great. But then I also posted a couple other posts like weeks later, like one yesterday, and people saw it and they're like, oh my heck, you're pregnant. So like they didn't see that other post. So that's just a good example of why it's important to continuously be telling your story, because not everyone's going to see it. You probably feel like you're sick of sharing your story and you probably think that everybody knows your story. Like now, because I posted on Facebook, I'm pretty sure everyone in the whole world knows I'm pregnant, but in reality, they don't. There's so many people that have no clue. And I'll probably make more posts throughout my pregnancy, and I'll probably get to, 38 weeks pregnant, and I'll post the big old belly picture, and more than likely someone's going to comment on that picture and say, oh my heck, I didn't know you were pregnant. That's just how it goes. So always be sharing your story. Okay. So just like a little, like how to choose your 5. So obviously, choose 5 things that connect with you. I'll share what my 5 are. But before I did this, I thought, or even when I did this, I thought that I had to be like this food blogger and take like this perfect recipe post and with an awesome picture, and like then make these killer fitness videos and like the super deep, meaningful posts and do it all in one day. But that's not what it's about. That's not what you have to do. Just be you. Still post about, being a coach, and working out, your fitness, your shake, the products, the lifestyle that Beachbody's giving you. But talk about how it's helping you personally. Make it personal. How is it a part of your story? So here's some examples of what I've done. So I talk about my faith and how it applies to my coping and my healing. I talk about my family. I talk about how I'm able to live a happier life with my family, be active with my kids because I choose to fight my Crohn's disease. I choose to live an active lifestyle and be a coach. Fitness, I talk about what fitness has done for my health and for my entire lifestyle, what I'm able to do because I choose to be fit. Food, I talk about different foods and what I'm eating at different points in my illness and why. Or because I'm pregnant, I can talk about how I ate SpaghettiOs for a week, like whatever, Entrepreneur, I talk about how I'm able to coach others struggling with their health or overcoming trials through coaching. I talk about what a blessing it's been in my life, these friendships and these connections that I struggled with before Beachbody. So another good tip is if people go to your Facebook, they should be able to tell by your previous posts, like your 5 previous posts, just scrolling up what you're about. They should be able to see your story on your timeline. So that's why it's so important to always be sharing. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but this is kind of cool. Like if someone's like totally Facebook stalking you and goes to your Facebook page, it actually, what it does now is it'll pop up, it'll say posts you haven't seen. And it'll move that to the top of their, like their page or whatever it's called, their profile. It'll move those to the top. So that's kind of cool. But again, it's important that you always be sharing because those things are going to pop up and people are going to see them. And so often we get caught up with this mentality, which is, how can I get more people to like me? How can I get more followers? What can I say? What can I post? And we almost get desperate in these thoughts, thinking these things. And I want you guys to stop that. Instead, don't think, what can I do to attract people to me? This is attraction marketing, but I don't want you to think about that. Instead, I want you to think, am I living my truth and sharing that? Am I living my truth and sharing that? Because you guys, the more genuine, the more real that you are, then the more that people are going to be attracted to you. So just be you. And that's what the Head Talk concept is about. It is about being you. Okay. I'm going to hurry because I saw our 10-minute mark. Okay. So facts sell, stories tell. We totally could have used mine, Amber. I have the extended one. That's okay. Okay. So I only have 2 more slides, so we're good. So these are just a couple more tips and exercises. Like I said, write down pivotal points in your life, what shaped you. Make a video, like I said. That's like one of the best things I ever did. Get vulnerable. People want you guys they want you to be real, to be honest. Talk about your struggles. It's okay to fail. Some of the best personal development for this is Brene Brown books. I love Brene Brown, The Gifts of Imperfection. It really has helped me come across genuine in my posts and be okay with who I am. And another tip, when inspiration strikes you guys, write it down. Get a notepad, put it in your notes on your phone, keep a document on your computer, write down ideas because you're not always going to have the inspiration to do a post. Another thing that I do is if I have an awesome post that I do, like a coach out post or a challenge group post or a story about my life, a transformation, I stick it into a document or put it on my blog so that I have it there. So I have it as a tool. I can reuse it a month or so down the road. Because like I said, not everyone's going to see it. I can use it as inspiration to write a new post. So when you do an awesome post, save that bad boy and use it later. And then this little message over here from Casey Rivachet, who's also a Team Ford Fitness coach. I had made a particularly vulnerable post one day. I was feeling super vulnerable about it, super worried about it. And she messaged me and she said, I'm sure some people won't ever understand, and that's totally okay. Just know that you're amazing and doing huge, incredible things, inspiring others, and making a crazy impact, all while making a freaking living doing it. Don't ever stop sharing. And just like along with that, you're an inspiration to so many more people than you realize. And you have to share, because if you don't share, you're you're doing a disservice to the world because you're amazing and you have so much to offer and so much to share, no matter who you are. Everybody has a story. Everybody has something to offer the world. That's why we're here. So just to end, I want to share one of my favorite quotes from the book, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. She says, "You are perfect. To think anything less is as pointless as a river thinking it's got too many curves, or that it moves too slowly, or that its rapids are too rapid. Says who? You're on a journey with no defined beginning, middle, or end. There's no wrong twists and turns. There is just being. And your job is to be as you truly are would leave the world viewless. You are the only you there is and ever will be. I repeat, you are the only you there is and ever will be. Do not deny the world its one and only chance to bask in your brilliance." So that's all I have for you guys. I encourage you to get out there, get vulnerable, and start sharing your stories. Figure out what your message is to the world and start sharing it.
Okay, thank you, Breezie. That was awesome. We just have like 6 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions for Breezie? Does anybody want to grab the mic and ask any questions?
Question.
All right, Kim.
So, okay, so when you started sharing your story, did you find that in the beginning there was a time where it was like crickets or like nobody was responding to you, and like kind of what did you do in your head to like get and to continue, sharing on those days where you felt like you were talking to, yourself?
First of all, hi, Kim.
Hey.
I didn't know you were on, but hi.
Hi,
okay. So, yes, absolutely. Yes. And we all go through that, and I still go through that. And what I have to remind myself, number one, is that Facebook is dumb and it has low engagement a lot of times. And even though I've worked my booty off for 2.5 years to up my engagement, I'll still only, and this is me only in my brain, get 30 likes on a post, even though I have 3,000 friends. So I have to remind myself that Facebook is dumb, number one. Number two, I have to just remember that it doesn't matter who likes it or who doesn't like it, because people are still seeing it. And the people, I truly, truly believe this, and this probably takes a lot of faith, and maybe I'm a crazy person, but I truly believe that the people that are supposed to see that post are going to see it. So I just kind of put it out there with a lot of faith, a lot of hope, and just roll with it. And as far like obviously it's still, when you look at your post and you're like, 2 people liked it, or oh, my mom liked it and my husband liked it. Like, that stinks. And that's totally happened to me, you guys. But when I see that, I'm like, okay, like, was this a good post? I evaluate it. Is this something that was a good post to share? Was this inspiring? Was this motivating? Was this something that people could connect to and draw strength from? And if your answers are yes, then great. Leave that dang post up. Don't delete it. If you go over that post and you're like, okay, well, it wasn't very inspiring, I was kind of negative, it wasn't really adding value to people, maybe that's not the way that I want to come across on social media. So I'm going to delete that post and I'm going to try again. And I've done that. I've deleted posts before, low engagement posts, and I'm like, maybe this isn't where I wanted to go exactly. So, yeah. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. I love that about if it's alone, asking yourself, is this really what I want to be saying? Not so much second guessing your story because it has engagement, but did I really come across the way I wanted to?
Exactly.
Love it. Thank you.
Yep. And that's something I've always done in my posts and in my invites. I'll go back through them and learn from them. And it's a process. It's a journey. I still learn from posts I do. Like, fell forward.
Yeah, I like that you also get every once in a while low engagement or crickets or whatever. But I also like that Facebook is dumb. I've never used that quote before. I think I might put it somewhere in my office so that I don't get distracted by. But will they like it? Anybody else? We probably have time for one more question if anyone has one. Nobody? Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you, Breezie. You're so awesome and amazing for coming on this call with us. I totally learned stuff. It doesn't matter where you're at. You're always learning in this business and always growing and always changing. And I really, really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us and to our team.
So welcome. I love your team. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for getting on, you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody have
message. If you guys have questions, feel free to message me, and I can share the exercises with Amber too. So
awesome. I was screenshotting as you were going through. I was like, okay, remember to, this is great. This is great team content. This is great things to take to our coaches, especially in the beginning when they really are trying to find their voice and their story, and to reevaluate, like, what is your story, even because we're growing, we're changing, just like you had said, your goals had changed or your why had changed. Our story changes too sometimes, and it's good to reevaluate and see.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, everyone have an awesome rest of your day, and we will see you guys in the team page.
Bye, guys.